skilled in all weapons, human and alien. You are humanity's final hope. Halo. Combat evolved.
What happened?
Something pushed back.
You are not the future.
Our battle ends here. Bear witness.
Is everyone trying to kill you?
It kind of seems like it.
What is up, my friend? Rob Fury here, talent relations specialist here at Streamily.com. And as you can see, we are here for the Halo Q&A signing. First off, I would like to bring up Jeff Sicer.
Hey.
Next up, Jen Taylor.
Hi, everybody.
Up next up, we have Steve Down.
Can I have that intro like all the time now? Like everywhere I go. Hi Rob, how you doing? Hey Jeff, hey Jen.
Hey,
Next up, we
Steve.
have Marty O'Donnell.
I'm going to do that.
Nice.
And
That's
last
his
but
intro.
not least, we have Bruce Thomas.
Bruce.
What's up, guys?
How
How
you
is
doing?
everyone doing today?
Great.
Good.
Good, yeah.
I love how Marty's the only person that actually came in with the Gregorian chanting too.
That's because I just heard that was me singing with my friends like over and over again. So I had to remind everybody.
Did you actually
Wow.
sing that?
Yes, I actually sang it.
You don't hear him? That's him in the
That's
background.
me. That's
I
me.
didn't
Yeah.
know that. I don't think I knew that.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Every time, yeah.
We saved money.
Well,
We have a comment on YouTube by Ignacio M. The GOATs.
There you go.
Gentlemen, the greatest of all time here.
Oh, okay.
Let's
How about
go.
it?
We have Ben Asian on YouTube says, y'all are amazing. So glad to see everyone. And
Yay.
we are glad to have all of you fans out there in the interwebs checking out this signing. Well, technically this Q&A because their signing will be coming up very soon. So guys, if you can throw some emojis in the chat right now to show your love, throw some fire emojis to show the love for Halo. And with that, I would like to say, first off, let's go in a circle, round robin, starting with Jeff. How is your day going? What have you been up to? What new projects have you been on and up to?
My day's going
Not
well.
under NDA.
What?
That's not under NDA.
No. Oh, yeah. Nothing in my life right now is under NDA. It's fine. Everything's going great. I am It's, as I said a little earlier before we went online, it's a little bit early where we are, but I've got my cup of coffee and I should be cognizant in I don't know, about 30 minutes, I would imagine. Say something worth hearing. Projects I've got going, doing webinars, doing things like that, trying to sort of get some more audiobooks going. I'm on cameo.com, so I've been doing a lot of those, which has been fun. And yeah, keeping busy, having a good time, reading, watching TV, going to the gym, cooking for myself. That's pretty much it.
I dig that. And Jen?
I just shot a short film called Superior Subject. So they're gonna shop it around a short film movie. I don't know. I mean, I guess they're
festivals, right? And
I guess they're short films.
Yeah.
But I had a really lovely time doing that. So I only
where'd you do it?
In Seattle, up in a church in Seattle.
Nice. Very nice.
Me and a whole bunch of really talented young kids.
All right, I dig that.
That's what I just finished working on.
I love it.
Yeah, am I on? I'm on.
Yeah, you're on.
Yeah,
You've
I
always
just got back from the gym, so that's cool. Started my day that way. I do have a big NDA that I can't talk about, so there's an empty. Yeah, like Jen, I shot, wrote, produced, and started a little 30-minute pilot that we shopped at festivals, and that went fairly well. Called Short Adam. So I'm trying to figure out how the hell who to try to sell it to. You know, that's the hard part of the equation, because I'm not familiar with it, so I have to dig through all the ways of trying to sell things these days. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
I dig that.
Short Adam or Short Atom?
Short Adam, ADAM.
See, Jen, you're on your ball on that. Look at this. She's like, I need you to enunciate so I can Google it.
I gotta take care of my fellas so that everybody knows where to find them.
I
Thank
dig
you,
that.
That's perfect. Thank you.
I love it. Marty, what are you up to?
Wow. You know, I have so many NDAs. I don't even have time to explain why I don't have time to explain.
So Marty is doing nothing.
Actually, I'm curious if anybody gets that little quote that I just made. See if there's any Destiny fans in the audience. Yes. Yeah, you know, I'm actually sort of semi just doing nothing. I have my 2 grandsons down here, and I play with them in the pool every week, and we have a great time, and I'm relaxing in a sunny climate rather than rainy Seattle, and I'm sort of enjoying it. So yeah, you know, I've got things to do, but I there's nothing exciting to talk about at this point. I'm glad I've been off of social media for a while for various reasons, which I can't get into at this moment. But it's great to see everybody. It's so great to see everybody. This is like a great reunion show. Although Bruce, I've never met you before, but I know your work. It's tremendous.
Thank you so much. I was just going to say too. Nice to meet you.
And your voice sounds great. I'm shocked that they dubbed you as Steve. I don't see a reason for that.
Hey.
My voice is like the adolescent chief. Steve is the mature chief.
Do I take that as a compliment or not?
It is a compliment.
Steve, what do you want to say?
I'm up here in Chicago for the summer. We got a little place on the lake here, so we're sort of settling into that for the last couple of months, and been actually very busy with conventions and whatnot. It's been an incredible year for that, and I'm going to plug something that I have no idea whether I should or not, but who cares? I think we're going to be at the Halo World Championships in Seattle in October, Jen, it's the 20th. Look it up. And I've never been to one. I've never been to a competitive Halo event, certainly on that scale. So, you know, I'm sort of looking forward to that. I'll be the only guy in the entire building that regard. But so that yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to that, and been doing a lot of commercials lately. So it's been a fairly active summer, that's for sure.
Hey, tell them I'll come up to Seattle and sing the Monk Chant on stage live.
Boom, done.
That'd be awesome.
To the winner. To the winner.
Yeah.
Wow.
Just personally
that
to
would
the winner.
that would be.
They'd lose
that would be
their
pretty
minds.
Yeah, they would.
All the
And
fans
just
would.
Steve, just to let you know, it's October 20th to the 23rd. That's
Thank
when,
you. Yes.
So
Yeah, so that's you know that's breaking news, as they say. So
breaking
Yeah.
news, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm waiting for my phone to ring and say, "You didn't really say that live, did you?"
That's all right.
What do you gotta
We
do,
can
fire
edit
me?
this all out. It's not a
There
live
you-
stream.
Right.
There you go.
We have comments on YouTube. We have a comment by Matthias Felicianos and said, "It's great to see you all, especially Marty. It's been a while since we haven't seen him." So, question, is this the first time that you guys are actually coming all together as a group?
Yes.
Or
This group,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, yeah, with Bruce for sure. I had a little Discord channel, and I had Jen and Steve audio only interview a few months ago. Jeff was supposed to be there. I think he had a death in the family or a friend or something.
Yeah.
Sorry, but so this is like the reunion that we wanted to do a few months ago with bonus Bruce.
Jen and I
Bonus
did.
Bruce!
Jen and Steve and I did SAC Anime like 200 years ago.
Yeah, we did. I
For
remember
Halo
that.
4.
Wow.
That was
200
long
years
time.
ago. Wow.
That's right, man. You know, yeah, long time.
You guys
Yeah.
are like relics then.
Jen and Steve and I did a
Man,
fan convention
The
on
hits just
Father's
keep on
Day.
coming.
We have another question in YouTube by Extal. I have a question for Bruce. What was it like recording the goodbye scene for Katana and Chief in Halo 4?
Say that again.
Oh, it was. I have the question is. I have a question for Bruce. I'm assuming that is a question for both you and
Yeah.
Steve. What was it like recording the goodbye scene for Katana and Chief in Halo 4? So I think it's a question for the three of you.
Well, yeah, that was. We had a different motion capture Cortana on stage for Halo 4, Mackenzie, and it was pretty awesome. That was my first jump into the Halo universe, and I got to perform much more of an emotional scene than I ever thought it would be. So we kind of dove deep into it, and it was actually a beautiful kind of moment. I'm glad they brought that up. That was a wonderful moment to experience, actually.
That is lovely. I feel like the Halo franchise has these moments that just they make you cry, they make you feel something on top of being a badass and shooting things. So
Right.
it's a beautiful blend of multiple things that I think that's amazing. We have another question on YouTube by Mr. Scoot21, one of our that's you have to say his name like that. He's one of our loyal viewers, and this is for Jen. Jen, can Peach and Toad from Super Mario say hi to me and say my name? It would make my day. I love Mario. Yeah, Mr. Scoot tends to do that, and that's why I say his name like that, so you can understand how to say his name.
Hi, Mr. Scoop! You're the best!
I love that. I love that. But before we go into any more questions, I have this question. How did it feel when you first got onto the project of Halo? You know, your careers at that point to the point that when Halo became such a cultural zeitgeist, and it literally changed the landscape of first-person shooters and console gaming as a whole. What was the difference between going into it and then after realizing the cultural significance of it? How did it make you guys feel? And we'll go in reverse. We'll start off with Steve, and then we'll go the other way around.
Well, it was going in to do the first Combat Evolved sessions. It was a gig like any other gig. I mean, it looked like it was going to be fun and exciting. And you know, when Marty asked me to do it, I'm pretty sure my first question was, "How much does it pay?"
You gotta stop saying that, Steve.
And but we did. I forget, Marty, but I think we did probably 2 or 3 days, maybe something like that, if that, for Combat Evolved. And I completely put it out of my mind after the sessions, as I tend to do with most voiceover jobs. I don't think it's uncommon for voice acting. You just go on to the next thing. And I completely forgot about it until a year later. And somebody asked me to make an appearance at a video game store on behalf of Halo Master Chief. And again, I reached out to Marty. I said, Marty, can I do this? And Marty said, yeah. I said, there's 2 things you can't do. You can't dress up as the character, which was not a problem. And what was the other thing? You can't dress up as the character. Oh, and then I had a condition, which was I don't play the game, because I didn't. Still don't. And the guy then, unbeknownst to me, had a contest, and the winner of which got to play me at Halo. I said, I don't play the game. I suck at Halo. And he said, don't worry, we got a pro player behind the screen who will play for you, and you'll have a dummy controller, and you'll play this person. So the winner was an 11-year-old girl. She came up and beat me and the pro player in about 15 seconds. And you have never been more humiliated than have an 11-year-old girl look at you like, really? Master Chief. Wow. The only saving grace in that entire story was I found out many years later that she actually became a pro player and did quite well on the circuit. So there was some redemption there. But yeah, at that point and a couple of other instances, my world, the first time somebody asked me about it, I couldn't remember the guy's name. I couldn't remember my character's name. And I said, I'm not sure, but I think he was kind of the main guy. And they said, Master Chief. I was like, yeah, that was it. Well, literally the world for me, was turned upside down. And that was 21 years ago. So pretty amazing.
Nice. Marty.
Well, funny story. We almost called the character Main Guy. That was originally the thought. And we switched to Master Chief. So close between the two.
Main guy in blue.
Yeah.
Main guy.
Lady in blue. It's funny. I go all the way back to 1998, so I predate everybody here. I was a freelancer for Bungie. I'd done a few games for Bungie up to that point, and this was the next cool game that they were working on, called Blam, previously codenamed Monkey Nuts. True story. Oh yeah,
Man,
yeah. How did you not know that? See, I mean, this is why you need me to be on these shows, because I have like very ancient knowledge. But the lead designer, creative director Jason Jones didn't want to tell his mom that he was working on Monkey Nuts, so we changed it to Blam.
Blam.
And eventually we changed it to Halo. A guy named one of the artists named Paul Russell suggested Halo, and everybody hated that. No, Halo, that's stupid. But anyway, that's true also.
Wow.
Well,
yeah, we were working on. We had just finished Myth Soul Blighter, and this was a game that was being worked on sort of in secret. And I was doing only sound design up until July of '99. And then we suddenly got this opportunity to show Halo for the first time, presented by Steve Jobs at Macworld, New York. And we were going to do a scripted demo. And this is even before Master Chief existed. If you look at that demo, you'll see that there are like 3 or 4 different Master Chief-like Marine characters running around, Spartan outfits, pre-Spartan, basically. But the Warthog was there, the aliens were there, but we didn't have any sound because it was being presented on a Mac that we hadn't worked on sound for yet. So I did a music track that would be played on a CD simultaneously with the scripted demo.
Yeah.
And so basically it was Jason Jones hitting the space bar on the computer on the stage after Steve Jobs interviewed him or introduced him. And then somebody in the back hitting play on a CD. And we just crossed our fingers and hoped it all came together.
Pretty high tech.
Very high tech. But it was like I was saying before, we really were saving money. That was me and my jingle friends, 4 of us singing. And that was a melody I wrote in the car on the way to the studio. So,
Wow.
and the rest is history. Yeah, it's funny. I knew when we were working on the game that it was a really cool game. And I thought, wow, this thing could sell 500,000-600,000 units, and it could be, it might even be around a year from now. That's the way we felt that we were working on, because that would have been a really big success for video games.
Yeah.
So to be here 23 years later from when I first started working on it, and having people still love it is just such a bonus and a blessing. So I love it.
Marty, real quick, wasn't
the
original Halo chanting like the bass like a Beatles song?
Well, no, see that. So here's the way that goes.
Okay.
As I was driving the car, I'm like, what's a good hooky melody? I was a jingle writer. So we are Flintstones kids, 10 million strong and growing. I wrote that. So I knew how to write hooky jingles. So I wanted to write a hooky monk chant because I thought monks would sound ancient and sort of mysterious. But I wanted it still to be a melody that would stick in people's heads. So I've always loved Yesterday. So I looked at the structure of Yesterday, the melody, which is 4 irregular phrases, 1 high point, 1 low point. Da 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 da. So if you can see conceptually, it's not based on Yesterday, but it's sort of skeletal structure is based on Yesterday. And then lo and behold, I got to actually work with Sir Paul McCartney,
I wonder when
20
you
years
bring
later.
it up.
I always bring it up, Jen, as of course, it's in my contract. It's in my contract. I have no choice.
When did
I
you
work
do
with
that?
Paul? Yeah. Oh, gee, Jeff, he's a plant. He's a plant in the audience.
Tell me more.
Yes. Well, 10 years ago, actually, for 2 years, starting in 2011 and then through 2012, I worked with Paul on the music for Destiny 1. So yeah, I got 2 years of being able to work with Paul at Abbey Road, in New York, in LA. It was spectacular. It was a dream come true. Yeah.
Wow.
I do remember Marty going out to dinner with you right before all of that. I think you hadn't done it yet, but it looked like it was a sure thing. I remember you being as giddy as a schoolgirl saying, guess what? You're never going to believe this. And it was so much fun because you were so jazzed, and rightly so. I mean, what an opportunity.
That was the dinner that Jen blew us off, right? I remember that.
Yes, it was. It was the dinner that Jen blew us off. Yeah. I'm still not over it.
Throwing her under the bus, huh?
That's right. Yeah, I got a bigger name.
That's my turn. Wait till I gotta say my story.
Yes.
But Bruce, talk to us.
So Paul McCartney called me and asked me if I want to do this.
I told him to call you. That's true.
No, I was in a bar and I was just hanging out, and the video director, Jamie Mortellaro, who was involved in the casting of Halo 4, we just kind of started up a conversation. He asked me what I was doing these days, and I said, I'm trying to get into voiceover. And he said, I may have something for you. So at that point, they were just going to start doing motion capture for the first time with Halo. And one of Steve's stipulations is I don't get in a tight suit. So
it's physically impossible.
So long story short, over a series of about 6 months, we emailed back and forth, and I sent in things because they were looking to hire a real actor to be on stage because they started bringing Chief down this emotional storyline. So that's what they were looking for. And so eventually got down to me and I got the part. And then I had no idea what it was. Like Steve, I had no idea because I don't play games, and I still don't as well, until I brought it up to my son, who was 12 at the time. and he it's the first time I'd seen him go white. He kind of freaked out about it, and so then I knew I was sort of involved in something kind of cool. And then once we got on the stage and started doing all of it was the first time I'd ever been involved in anything like that. The high tech on stage, the entirely different phenomenon of motion capture just blew me away. And it was really fun to get to know that side of it and see it all happen. And even since then, it's, my God, it's made leaps and bounds as far as what they can do with it. So it just blew me away.
Yeah, like Bruce.
Hey, just for the record, out of all the people here, I do play video games, and I have beaten all 5 Halos, the original 5 Halos, on Legendary. So I just
Nice.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Somebody's at 97% completion.
And I have Recon helmet, so there you go. Armor.
Awesome.
Okay. Brush his shoulders up. You see, it's funny that Marty's thing is that that's what he hangs his hat on. The Sir Paul McCartney is just a throwaway.
I've beaten all 5 Halo games.
Recon, McCartney, Recon. Yeah, Recon.
But Bruce, before we go to Jen, how does it feel to know that you technically were America's favorite buns before Captain America, because you were in that you were doing mocap, and we saw Master Chief before we saw Captain America's buns. So how does it feel to technically be the first one before Captain America?
That's the first time I've heard Master Chief's buns mentioned ever.
Yeah.
Did you not see the TV show? Hello.
No, I have not seen it.
Oh God, I just love that he just like
It's called in the TV show.
oh my God, Master Cheeks.
Yeah,
I thought.
Cheeks.
See, I thought you were going to mention Legally Blonde because my buns were mentioned.
That's what I
that was
thought.
sort of the focus of that movie.
Yeah.
So
Oh well, you know what? It's
That's
a
what I
cheat.
thought you
know
were
that.
talking about.
It's a cheat. It is Wednesday. It is Hump Day. So
Oh.
there you go.
Rump Day.
Rump exactly.
Yeah.
Now moving on to Jen.
I have no idea what the question was.
The question was, you going into Halo, going into the game, going into that just as a regular actress, and then knowing the cultural significance of it after the fact. Like, what were the different dichotomies of it? How did you feel going into it, and then after, when everything blew up, and everybody was like, James Cameron still Avatar for me. Thank you for the laugh, Marty. Like, everybody was like, no. That was bad. Marty is on it.
Well, I was there in the beginning when there were 30 people working in the Bungie office, and
Yes,
I walked in
30.
this, little office building, and I mean, my thoughts were, I had done quite a few video games at that point, and my thoughts when I got to read the concept, because I didn't get to read the whole script, that you weren't allowed to do that yet.
We just didn't have a whole script. That's why we
Yeah.
never did.
It was very, I thought, well, this is a cool, I just thought this seems like a cool storyline. Like, this is interesting. I'm curious to see how this pans out. That was my only, thought at the time. And I'm still, is Halo a big deal? I'm still, no, I mean, I remember when I got the call from my agent saying, hey, they want you back in the studio for Halo 2. My thought was, oh, I guess Halo did okay. That's cool. That was
did okay. It was just like the top selling FPS shooter in multiple years, and literally
I had no idea.
It's
I had no idea. And as I recall, Marty, tell me if I'm wrong. I recall for the very first 3 Halos, 2 Halos maybe, you guys didn't want people to know who I was, because it was like, we want people to think of this as Cortana. We don't want them to be imagining who's doing the voice. And so I don't remember being a part of much promotional stuff. I mean, that wasn't a thing, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure. there was no restriction on you talking about it. It
No.
was just like, I think we
No.
were just sort of like, well, we're not going to make a big deal out of the voices
Right.
behind the scenes. And at the time, we weren't, especially with Halo 1, it was actors that I had worked with in Chicago, and then some new actors in Seattle, you and David Scully for sure, and some other folks. And it just wasn't, I don't remember wanting you to not talk about it. It just wasn't something we did.
Yeah, it wasn't something we did. So I don't remember it being a thing. I know that is not the answer that people want to hear.
Well, I
but
mean, we
I
certainly
didn't really think it was a thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, you were like, not only were you an accomplished voice actress that had done video games before, but you were on stage. You were part of the Seattle, and still are part of the Seattle theater scene, and like one of the top actresses in Seattle. And I think that's, well, you are. Jeff knows this. Oh, by the way, everybody, yes, we can read the chats. I'm reading the chats right now. So anybody, I see all the questions going by.
I will be putting up some chat comments.
Yeah. I just want the people. Somebody says, "Oh, they can't read these," and I'm like, "No, I just read that." Anyway, yeah, Jen. It was an honor to have Jen in the studio, and we loved her work, but we never thought about promoting the actors or.
Right.
Especially with Halo 1, it was just like, wow, is this game actually going to sell? Are people actually going to buy it? Are people going to play it? This is great. We weren't thinking a lot about promoting. By Halo 2, we started doing more promotion of the actors who were in it. And Jeff, of course, was a star.
Because of that, I was sort of clueless in all honesty about it.
I mean, Jen, to be fair, you're pretty clueless a lot of the time. Hey! All right. Sorry.
Listen, Marty, don't mess with the AI, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can back that up, Bruce. It doesn't go well. So I'm just saying.
Oh, I love that. And Jeff.
Well, actually, Marty, you stole my line. I was going to say I've been fairly oblivious about many things concerning the game as well. Like Steve and like Jen, I guess I went into audition for it, and then was cast as the multiplayer announcer. And I remember
first Master Chief. You were going to be Master Chief.
Yes, I did know that. And it was one of those stories that's like, I think that was the way it was going down. And then it changed. And then I was the voice of God multiplayer announcer, which was like great. And I remember I was
going to be Master Chief initially.
And I was going to be Cortana, but they thought better of it, I think. But I remember then
for Cortana.
Yeah. I like good blue. And then Jay Wineland said, "Oh, they're going to hear you more than anything else in the game." And I thought, really? Oh, okay. So, but at the time, correct me if I'm wrong, Marty, did we even know it was Combat Evolved? I'm not even sure I knew that it was called Halo when I first went in to work on it.
We probably had a code name for the actors when they came in.
Thought this was Monkey Nuts.
Monkey Nuts Combat Evolved.
No, it was Halo, but Combat Evolved was put on by Microsoft PR people after they did testing of the name, and they said that all the fans would be confused by the name Halo. So the compromise, it was Combat Evolved. So yeah, we didn't know it was Combat Evolved probably when you were first working with us. It was just Halo. But we probably called it something else.
Maybe so. I do remember vividly the day I went in to do the first recording.
Yeah.
First of all, it was at the Microsoft building, right in Redmond, I think.
Yeah, horrible, boring office building.
Dreadful. But then I remember we had to go through security for the game. And I don't think I'd ever had that happen before. And then I met you, and then you took me into the room where the 30 people were all working, and you showed me samples of what they were working on, which I've said so often since then was groundbreaking. I mean, people hadn't seen visuals like that for any game that I was aware of. I mean, I've been playing things like Seventh Guest, which is herky-jerky and stuff. So that was kind of amazing. And then going into a studio and to the booth and recording all that stuff. And then I promptly forgot it. Like Steve, it's kind of like, there we go. That's another job down. Boom. went back to doing mostly theater, I guess. And it really took a while before I became even a little bit aware that it was such a big deal. And that's when people started screaming whenever I mentioned I worked on the game. And I'm not joking.
People have to understand. I mean, we have pre-production, and then when we get to voice production, it's still relatively in the middle of the development cycle. So we're recording all the voices so the animators can animate, so that the designers can design, so the multiplayer game can actually be implemented. So from the time you guys are recording to the time when the game is actually released to the public could easily be a year. So it can, unless you've come back in for some pickup lines just before we ship, it's probably out of sight, out of mind, and you haven't seen any results. So it's completely understandable.
Well, not only that, but of course, in the early days, I remember when the game was finished, I would be sent a game cartridge. And it was like, well, what am I supposed to do with this? It's like, are you going to send me an Xbox? And they were
that would have been nice. We should have.
No.
Like I said, we were saving money. We were saving money.
So I had exactly. So I had my cartridges, and it was cool. I gave them to my son. Who.
I like that you're calling them cartridges, like it's an adult.
Well, weren't they cartridges?
No,
were
they
were
discs.
They're discs, man.
They were discs.
That's just how old I am.
You didn't
the
have to blow on it.
Methuselah of announcers.
I think the first Halo came out on an 8-track, didn't it, Marty?
Yeah, it was
laser disc, Steve.
I'm sure I listened to it in my car while I was driving cross country. Beach Boys, Halo, Joni Mitchell.
Yeah.
Short question before we go into the YouTube questions. So, because the first one was Combat Evolved, and you said that was Microsoft that did that, why did they decide to drop the taglines for the subsequent? So, like Halo 2, Halo 3, Halo 4, there's no tagline.
Well, it's because it turns out that everybody was just calling it Halo, and nobody had a problem with the name Halo. So we never wanted to put, a colon with a tagline in the first place. Although in hindsight, I think Halo Combat Evolved is a pretty cool title. I think most of us have decided actually that was good. I mean, we complained about it at the time because we thought we knew everything, but I think it was a good decision. But by that point, the marketing was different, and Halo 2, all you had to do was say Halo 2. As a matter of fact, all you had to do is just have the logo with a 2 in it, and people would go nuts. So yeah, I mean, we just didn't really need to have any other taglines after that.
Fair enough. And on the YouTube channel, we have a comment by River Chaos. I grew up with Halo, and it's awesome to see the faces behind the series doing good and going to conventions. That is awesome. And we have a question, a pointed question toward, there we go, by Xtal on YouTube. I have a question for Steve and Jen. Did you guys think your characters would ever have such a huge impact on people's lives? I felt like I needed, because you guys were like thinking, so I'm like, let me chat while you guys are thinking. That's the new.
No, Jen and I have talked about this a number of times over the years, and it comes out when we do make appearances, because that's the one time you get to have face-to-face contact with the fans, and it's the biggest joy of doing that, because you hear over and over again how important the game was to these people. If I had a nickel for every time somebody said, "You made my childhood," I could buy an island in the Caribbean. It's just amazing, and it took me a while to try to process that for myself, to try to understand it, because not being a video game player, it was hard for me to process how could a video game change somebody's life. And so you go back to try to relate to things in your own life that were, life-changing or paradigm shifting. And for me, it was music. For me, it was the Beatles. It was the Beatles on Ed Sullivan. That day, that night, changed my life in every way you could possibly think of. From the way I looked, the way I acted, the music, obviously, everything. My career, it changed everything.
You had hair at that point, I'm assuming.
Yes, correct though. Yes, that was key, by the way. That's key. But so that's how I can relate to when fans talk about how Halo was a life-changing thing for them, not just something that they enjoyed doing. It wasn't, oh, that's cool to play this game. These are people whose lives were, in some cases, and I'm not overstating this, saved by that, because it was the place they could go, and a world that they could feel comfortable in, and it really is an amazing thing. And Jen and I both have had some amazing and very emotional conversations with fans about how important the game was to them. And they usually cite Halo 3, Halo 2, Reach are the ones that just were there when nobody else was there for them, and it's really quite impressive.
Mm-hmm.
As an actor, I feel like it's hard to know how anything's going to affect people. There are things that I've done that I felt were really remarkable and went nowhere, and other things that I, didn't think would do anything and have. So you never know what kind of, at least in my limited experience, what kind of effect you're going to have on people and on the zeitgeist, as you say it. But it is an honor to be a part of something that, as Steve says, has seemed to have affected people in such a remarkable way. Yeah, I mean, we would have no idea it was going to do anything or be what it was. So.
Sure.
I was just going to say, the interesting thing to me was the concept of Cortana and Master Chief at the very beginning was Master Chief, of course, is the player. So the player takes on the character of Master Chief, which means for us, at least at Bungie, we felt like the Master Chief shouldn't have a ton of character. He should be this not quite silent, but the the Clint Eastwood type, man of few words.
Right.
Cortana was actually, because Cortana was a chip AI inside Master Chief's helmet, she could have more knowledge than the player. She could have more knowledge than Master Chief. She could say many more words. So it was a device that we were using as a sort of a gameplay / fictional device. But it became very apparent very quickly that these two actors, which is something actually I knew that even the Marines, because they were going to be played by actors, were going to become beloved characters, because actors bring characters to life, no matter how non-player character, throwaway lines they are, they become real for the players. So that relationship between Cortana and Master Chief really started very quickly during Halo 1, and then we took advantage of that for Halo 2, and I think we kind of really went into another zone in Halo 3 when Master Chief has to rescue Cortana, and there's a great scene between the two of them. It was one of my favorite scenes when Master Chief rescues Cortana. And then I think 343 just really took that relationship to another level for Halo 4, 5, and Infinite. So I think it's a wonderful thing to see these characters evolve like that. Character evolved.
Marty, that is a great segue, because the that we had in our YouTube comments by Comment that says, what do you think about 343's push of driving Cortana characteristically away from her being cool, sassy, mission control to being a love interest? Because that confused them. So good thing, Marty, that you brought that up. So what did you guys think of, how Cortana was initially introduced to, now what 343 was trying to push them to, and then they're like, nah, we'll push that back. So what do you guys think about that?
I can say, and I don't want this to affect anybody's interpretation of the game, because your interpretation of the game and the story is yours, and that is valid. I have never thought of it as a romance.
There we go.
I never have thought of it that way. So, but I don't want that to affect anybody's interpretation of the game and how they see it. So,
do you mind if people ship YouTube?
Of course not.
Okay.
Of course not.
Steve is like, shipping, whatever.
Of course,
No.
you interpret things however you're going to. That's the beauty of a good story, right? So, but I didn't.
I think, you know, to me, it's one of the many geniuses of the creators of Halo. To me, that's one element of it that makes the game so compelling. Could it be a love interest? It could be. I think I've always thought of it more. If it was a love interest, it was more of a brother sister love, or maybe rather than a romantic love. But I wouldn't discount a romantic aspect to it. I think that you know, Chief was, you know, very fond of Cortana, you know, for a lot of reasons, and so I think that's possible, and it's also, you know, a soldier to soldier, you know, comrade type relationship. I mean, it can be all these things, and like Jen said, whatever it is for you, well, that's what it is, and to me, it's a mark of great writing and a great concept that Halo has so many different levels and layers, and that's one of them.
Well, I know that 10 or 12 years ago, I Jen and Steve met in person for the very first time, and I was there, and Jen jumped on his back, and it looked like a love relationship to me.
Somebody asked us the other day, we were at a convention, and somebody thought we were married.
Wow.
Jen and I.
Whoa.
Okay, fair enough. Well, you know what, Steve, since we are on you, I'm going to ask, there's another question on here specifically for you by The Masked Man on YouTube. It says, Steve, this isn't necessarily related to Halo, but how did you get into the radio business? One of my dream jobs is to be a DJ.
Well, like I said, you know, the night the Beatles came on Ed Sullivan was a life changer for me, and in one of the ways it changed my life was eventually led me to a career in radio. And I was in college and wasn't really sure what I wanted to do, and I was a drummer in a rock band at the time, and I had the good sense at some point to decide that wasn't a good career choice. That being a drummer in a rock band may not be the best, I don't know, way to go. So, but I wanted to stay close to the music, and so my goal really was I wanted to be a record producer. That's what I wanted to do. I really love the production elements of you know, I used to get albums and devour all the information that was on an album, you know, all the liner notes and who produced what and all that kind of thing. And I really was interested in that. And radio seemed like a good avenue. And at the time, back in the late 60s, it was the only avenue that I was aware of other than knocking on a studio door and having them hand you a broom. And that's how you got into the production business. But once I got into radio, once I got on the air, my ego and my ham took over, and I just never left it. And it was a great way to stay close to the music, and I just thoroughly enjoyed it. I mean, I feel like I've never worked a day in my life because I've been blessed to the things that I've done for an occupation were things that I really enjoy and love to do. So that's not really work.
That's very true. I'm trying to find this question in the chat, but the question was for Bruce, and the question was, what was it? How did it feel joining the Halo crew and actually being able to interact with everybody? And I can't find that question in the plethora of comments that we have in the chat, but so can you answer that question while I'm still trying to find that question to put it up on the screen?
You know, by crew they mean Jen and Steve? Or,
yeah.
I get to work with Jen. I don't get to work with Steve, which is unfortunate. In fact, the only time I've ever seen him was up in Seattle when we were doing Infinite, and he just kind of wandered onto the stage. Kind of fun.
Yeah.
Hey, what are you guys doing?
He just wanders around.
Yeah. Hey, this is a live set, pal. You mind?
Yeah. I mean, working. I was going to add to the previous question and just say
go
that
for it, please.
Getting to work opposite Jen, doing Cortana, well, doing 3 characters for us in Infinite, but I can understand the sort of interpretation as a love interest because she's so joyful and so fun and so present and so adorable and wonderful, and she brings all of those qualities to Cortana. So yeah, me working across from her, it's hard not to like think of this as a love story too. So
because I'm thinking like the way that you guys are talking, I feel like the Master Chief Cortana relationship, it's more so like life partners. It's like, yeah, I got your back, you got my back, we're in it to the end type of situation. And it can be interpreted as love. It could be interpreted as, familial love. It's just love in itself.
Well, that's what I was going to add, is that when somebody cares so deeply about you that they've got your back 100%, no matter what happens, there's a bond that's developed there that's undeniable, and it's strong. That says everything about your relationship with that person.
Yeah.
And by the way,
I gotta jump in real quick. Can I jump in real quick, Marty?
Sure.
Because Bruce mentioned, me, being able to watch Bruce and Jen work during performance capture for Infinite. And I have to say that was first of all, it was just fun to watch these two work, but it was also very informative for me to really see what was going on physically for lines that I may have to read later on, and to watch Bruce work. There's a physicality that helps inform the dialogue, and I really it was very helpful and fun to watch the two of them actually interact while I was recording the lines. It's pretty cool.
That's cool.
Bruce, I was going to make a joke about how I loved your face work in Halo 4 and 5. But that's a low shot, so I won't make that joke. Instead, I'm going to give you a compliment, because in all honesty, I mean, that is quite an acting job to bring that much emotion just when you have a helmet on. It's just really amazing. Yeah. And
it's serious mask work, man.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's true.
It's mask work.
And that plus, of course, Steve's voice on top of it, and the way you guys work together, it's just a seamless thing, and it has a lot of power. I have to hand it to you. It's not an easy task, and as an actor, I'm sure that's my question to you, is how do you act when you can't use your face?
Well, here's the thing. Like, I was very fortunate in that I've played Batman as well.
Oh, so,
cool. I did a 3 years worth of national commercials where the Batmobile had OnStar, and so I was Batman for a year. In the Michael Keaton suit. So I wore the whole suit.
Oh, really? For real?
So
wow.
When you get in that sucker, Batman can't move either. And I actually consider these two characters, Master Chief and Batman, very, very similar in that Batman's vengeful for his parents' death. Master Chief is, in a way, I was thinking about this the other day, like kind of vengeful towards Halsey for pigeonholing him into being the ultimate soldier and kind of defining his life. So, and both are stoic. They don't say much. They're men of very few words. And in both cases, because of the suits they wear, very minor movements speak volumes. And that's what you have to know.
Yeah.
I have to tell a really stupid story about shooting with Bruce. Is that, Bruce, how tall are you? 6'3", 6'4"?
6'2".
Okay.
6'2".
So, but that's still, it's not, and even in the shoes he's wearing, he's still tall, but he's not 7 foot. So we would put a little, we would attach a little stick. It was about a foot long, with
a foot above
ball,
my hat.
A foot above my hat, and that was where my eyesight would be aimed at. I couldn't look at Bruce's face. We had
a styrofoam ball up on top of that wooden dowel. Somebody on the crew painted a 2 eyes and a mouth.
A little face.
That's hilarious. And that's actually, that segues to the next comment that we have on YouTube. It's like, Bruce, do you interact much with Jeff and Jen when in motion capture, or is it completely two different worlds?
Oh yeah, I do all my work with Jen.
Yeah.
And none of his work with me. I don't allow. That's in my contract. I don't want to see these other people at all. It just gets in the way of my process. So.
Oh,
No, the funny thing about that styrofoam ball thing too was Nick Roy, who plays the pilot. He's very emotional in his stuff. He's like exasperated with Chief. Come on, Chief, come on. And so we would be doing these intense scenes, and he'd get it absolutely right, but he would be looking in my eye, and I keep having to do this. And look up.
I'm up here.
So hard.
And he go, God,
Yeah, I'm up here.
do it again.
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of pilot, a quick story. Jen not only does 3 voices in Halo, she does a 4th voice. In Halo 1, we needed an extra voice, and she was in the studio. And I said, "Oh, Jen, read these lines for me. Just don't sound like Cortana, maybe sort of slightly Southern." So she's like, "Okay, we're coming in hot. I'm losing her." So she does the pilot at the beginning of the 2nd level. And what I didn't realize at the time is that, right after the crash, she says, "We're losing her," and the crash happens, and then the next thing you hear is Cortana, "They're gone, they're all dead," or whatever. And I thought, oh my gosh, I didn't realize that Jen was going to be following Jen in the same thing. And no one has ever noticed that. So good job, Jen.
Wow. Yes,
When we were
indeed.
doing the audition, Marty, you had, I think, everybody screaming when they were killed or something. And I've always wondered if I died in any of the Halo games.
Yeah,
if you used any of my screaming.
It would have been fun if we had had a way to shoot the announcer in multiplayer, and then we would have kill.
Oh, I'm so down for that. Freaking.
Yeah, this question is actually for you, by Cal928 in YouTube. Jeff, how did it feel to abandon your physical form to get into character for your role as the announcer?
I'm not sure what that means.
So basically, they said that you just eliminated your full human form, just went into all voice just to become the announcer.
Now, actually, I've got a question for Marty about that, because I've been trying to remember, where did that voice come from? Because I don't remember what we did or why we settled on that, because I didn't audition, I don't think, for the announcer.
Right. No, you didn't. As a matter of fact, we knew we needed an announcer. We almost were going to have you because you had this great, gravelly, deep voice, and you were going to be Master Chief, but then I was thinking about Steve back in Chicago, and I thought Steve would be even more perfect. But then we thought Jeff would be the perfect announcer. We need an announcer voice to be, have a lot of gravitas. So when we brought you in, you did your normal voice, and then we said, "Yeah, do something like really over the top," and you were like, "Kill-tacular," and then we'd be like, "Okay, split the difference." So I think we ended up with you being just slightly over the top, not completely over the top. That's all I remember. It's like we tried to do it different ways.
I've been trying to remember desperately where it came from. It's weird because I don't think of what I do necessarily as being a character, because there's no story attached to my voice at all.
Let's come up with one.
What?
Let's come up with one.
Yeah, we should have a backstory for the announcer. Oh my God.
Yeah, because I after 20 years, I'd love to do that work.
Talk to Joe Staten will give you a backstory. Trust me.
Yeah, he will.
Okay. Anybody who wants to give me a backstory, you know what? That would be a great contest. I'm going to do that with my fans. It's like anybody who wants to give the announcer a backstory, I'd love to hear it. Mostly it was just coming up with that voice. And then what I remember is that every once in a while there would be a line, and I would hear the people in the other room who were recording laughing because it was so outrageous. And I'd go, okay, great. Those are the ones I always loved.
I have a question. Well, another question here on YouTube. Question for Steve, Jen, and Marty. Do you guys miss working together on Halo? And how do we make it happen again for a Halo Infinite DLC?
DLC. What is DLC?
Downloadable content.
Downloadable content.
Oh,
You know, Jen doesn't play video games.
She does not.
Yeah.
No.
Is that a new sandwich?
That's a new sandwich.
I do. That's all
Marty,
non-gamers, so don't worry about it. Steve is gonna get it too, and Bruce is gonna get it too as well. All the non-gamers.
Oh, I
Yeah.
get teased all the time by these people. Like that's nothing new. I love Marty. I always want to work with Marty. I mean,
Second that.
Yeah, Marty's fantastic and silly and fun, and so. And I always felt the thing about Marty is that as a director that is always lovely, and sometimes you don't always get from everybody you work with, but is that you know that you've hit it because he won't let you move on if you don't. And there are some times when you feel like, I don't know, I really did a very good job. Well, you know that Marty has got a good ear and he's making sure that he's got what he wants. And so he's not going to move forward without that, which is reassuring as an actor. And Marty's like, actually, Jen, I never got anything I wanted from you. So it's terrible.
We just knew, okay, we got to move on. I better tell her,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, great. We'll move on now.
Yeah.
No, I love working with everybody. I'd love to work with Bruce sometime. I loved working with these folks. I loved casting. I loved working with them. The 10, 12 years I worked on Halo was, a highlight. And who knows what the future brings, but I have a feeling it's one of those Camelot times that I'll always look back on fondly.
Yeah. I wish that I would like to go back in time to more appreciate the time that I had with Marty, because I don't think that I fully appreciated it until it's kind of like not to overplay it, but like a lost love that you realize after they've gone. Yeah.
Big yellow taxi.
I've gone over the top, haven't I? But yeah, Marty was, and Jen said it really eloquently. You really it was. I was sort of in a new world. I'd only done one other video game prior to that, and that was with Marty. And then to move into this was, I felt like he was sort of, he was good at sort of moving me in the direction he wanted me to be in. And then I think also, which is so necessary for me anyway, is there was an element of trust there, is that I completely trusted Marty. It was like, he knows what he's doing, and, he'll push me in the direction that he wants me to be. And because I trusted him, there was no resistance to it. So, and obviously, the work speaks for itself. So.
I like that.
Totally.
Dropping down facts. We have another question in YouTube. This is from Enomal Guadwal, and this question is for Jen. What version of Cortana/weapon/Halsey do you think is the closest to you in real life?
Oh.
I love that you didn't say IRL because you were like, Jen won't know.
She won't know what that is. NPC, DLC, no idea.
Earl.
BLP.
Listen, I'm 37 and I have to spell out those acronyms when so I make it easy.
I don't know. That would be probably a better question for these gentlemen, but I think I'm probably, frankly, more like the weapon.
Sort of clueless, just sort of clueless.
No, full of
but
hope
very
and
nice
positivity and brightness. No, I don't know. Though I am snarky sometimes. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question.
Are you going to sing Daisy?
Shut up.
Yeah, no.
Yes.
All
No.
right. We have another question for everyone. Question for everyone. Well, she just left. She's like, listen, I only feel two
Way
questions.
to go, Marty. I think you really pissed her off on that one.
Yeah.
Way to go.
No,
We got to fill for.
All right, she's back. So, question for everyone: your favorite line/moment from any of the games? Any of the games?
I'll start with that. I'll go back to the Halo 3 rescue Cortana scene. That's my favorite scene. You know, Cortana has some of the great lines. We brought back all sorts of memorable music themes and things that were said earlier in the game. And it's just their performances were great in that scene. So that's my favorite scene.
Nice. Anybody, just jump in.
I remember my favorite line, but it didn't make it into the game. And it was, you may remember this, Marty, because I think it was in 3. At one point, we recorded a line where it was around the time when a former vice president had gone hunting and shot somebody with him in the face. So at one point, if you shot one of your own team members, you would hear my voice. Not every time. I think it was going to be like once every 1,000 times.
You had to have shot your teammates at least 3 times, I think, with a shotgun.
Was that what it was?
Yeah.
Then you would hear me saying Cheney Mania.
Oh no.
That was my favorite line I ever did, because I think we laughed about it for about an hour while we were.
Yeah, it actually made it into the beta, so people did hear it because we had it in the beta.
Oh, wow.
And then
So who said we couldn't have it in the game? Who put the hammer down?
Someone very, very high up sort of came down on us and said that.
I always said it was above my pay grade. I could never answer
it was
that
above
question.
all of our pay grades. I think it might have come from the White House, but I might be wrong.
Yeah. The president was just playing like,
My favorite line still.
Yeah.
One of my favorite lines is from Halo 4, and it's just because it's a really emotional, lovely line when she says, "Welcome home, John." I just love that.
It'll make us cry.
That's her goodbye. It's her sad goodbye.
Yeah. I think it pretty close to that scene. One of my favorites is I was supposed to take care of you.
We were supposed to take care of each other, and we did.
And we did. That's one of my favorite. Just
not quite so bright as that.
It was one of my favorite. But to Jeff talking about things that ended up on the cutting room floor. I think it was 3, Marty, where the chief finally puts an end to Guilty Spark. Isn't that 3?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I remember doing that scene, and you, for the one and only time, said, ad lib. So we were doing, and Tim Dadabo, who's the voice of Guilty Spark, is a friend of mine, and so I was going to have a little fun with him. He wasn't there, but I was going to have a little fun with him at his expense. And it was time for Guilty Spark to go. You know what I mean? Long past. Yeah. So I, because the origin of Master Chief's voice came from Marty's suggestion about Clint Eastwood, which he mentioned earlier, and that's really where was my launching point for developing that voice. And so when we got to kind of mess around with that scene, I tried to the Dirty Harry scene where he's got the guy cornered in the ice cream shop or whatever it was, and all this gunfire ensues. And finally, Clint has his gun pointed at the bad guy and says, in all the confusion, I kind of lost track. Was that 5 bullets or was that 6? Well, do you feel lucky, punk? So I did a variation of that in prior to offing Guilty Spark, and everybody got a good laugh out of it, but it was on the floor.
All right, I'm gonna have to look for that one. I love it. It should have been in there.
Yeah.
Interesting. Very interesting.
We're all waiting.
I'm getting correspondence right now. What's going on? Interesting. Okay. So sorry. We have a question by the. I'm gonna say this name because this is your name on YouTube. By the Penguin Overlord.
Penguin.
Now you see why I waited to just. Yeah. So question for Bruce Thomas. What was your favorite thing or moment about working on Halo 4 through Infinite?
Oh, God. Yeah, keep it going for a while. Wow. Obviously, I have to go back to the emotional stuff that we did in 4. At the end of 4, I think that was probably the most fulfilling as a performer, from my side of it. But although, quite honestly, I get to watch Jen Taylor work, because most of my lines back to her are, where, when,
I won't.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. What?
So I get to watch her, and she's lovely and very talented, and that's really my favorite part. Other than when we found out the pilot's name is Fernando, we had a lot of fun on set. On set, coming up with lines that would be between Chief and Fernando.
Fernando.
If you can remember any of them, Jen, I would love to hear them. I
Oh
don't
my
remember
God,
exactly specifically what we did, but it was.
You guys had way too much fun.
Yeah.
That. It was really fun. We have a lot of really lovely camaraderie on Halo Infinite. It was a lovely group of the 4 of us. Really had a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was like a big family. It was fun.
Yeah.
I know this question is a more lore driven question. So if you guys choose not to answer it, or you're like, I understand. By Sir Tagalot the Tryhard. My God, I just said
Sir
that.
Lagalot.
I just said that out loud. So
Lagalot.
do you guys know why the humans killed themselves after talking to the Primordial? Apparently, he had a grave mind.
Ooh.
Marty?
Well, we're going to have to get into the entire background of the Forerunners and the prehistory of the precursors. And
I love everybody's like, Marty, please go.
Marty.
Actually, I think Hidden Xperia is in the audience here. He knows all the lore. I actually don't know the answer to that question, because I think it is post Halo Reach. So I'm sorry, I'm not the one. If we should get Hidden Xperia is in the audience, he should answer that, and we'll read his answer.
Done. Love that. The point. Yes. Yes, Sir Lagalot Tryhard. The pilot does have a name. Yes. We have a question from Cal928 for Marty and Jet. I would have loved to see Cortana say more British words in the game. Any reason that they cut other than just being kind of phased out?
You know, I agree, and she had a great British accent, and people probably know that our original vision for her was to be British. Cortana was going to have a British accent, and that's how she auditioned. But I also knew that she had just done Kate Archer in a game, which was a British spy game, I thought, oh, we probably shouldn't have her be British. Let's have her just do her normal voice. And she did. But by that point, it was too late. For some reason, we just couldn't be bothered to rewrite the script. So we had, toady about and, different British phrases in there.
Sawed off. I think
sawed off. Yes. So that's the only reason why those lines made it into the game, because we somehow didn't have time to change them. But after that, we knew that she was not British. So apparently Joe stopped using any sort of British phraseology. So that's Joe's fault.
You had asked me to do British, but you'd also asked me to do vaguely European.
Yeah, that's true. I remember that.
Yeah. I love that.
I would be vaguely European, but don't sound like a gypsy. Don't
sound like anything we would recognize. Just mix it all together.
Right.
Yeah, so that was my early days. I've learned since then not to confuse the actors.
Marty, this question is for you, and this is not a Halo question. But by I Drink Diesel. Oh man, these names.
That's too bad.
All right, so sorry. Hey there, Marty. I was wondering, how has your musical philosophy towards the games changed? It'd be useful to know due to my music college course starting in September. Thanks.
I don't think my musical philosophy towards games has changed. I think I pretty much have the same philosophy I always had, which is try to make the best music you possibly can and have it actually work with the thing it needs to work with. It needs to support and enhance the scene, the level, the encounter, whatever it is you're using it for. And I was honored to be able to not only write the music, but implement all the music in the 5 Halo games that I did. And I still think that's an important thing. If I can play the game and know where the music's going to be actually used, I can do my best work. But yeah, if you're going into college, you're at the beginning of some really hard work. Learn everything you can, play everything you can, play with friends, sing with friends, take every opportunity you can. Seriously, consider counterpoint and orchestration and all of these fundamentals. It's like there's nothing more important than the basics. So good luck.
Good. I like that. We have the next question by Tristan H. Question for Steve and Marty. How do you feel about Guilty Spark actually surviving the events of Halo 3? And do you think it ruined the emotional moments of Johnson's death?
Steve?
Oh, Steve has that.
Ooh.
Oh, I'm thinking look on his face.
Yeah.
Either that or he's like, I don't know. Marty, please answer.
Yeah, no, you're getting in. How many years ago was that, Marty?
Well, I mean, I didn't know. This is news to me. I didn't know that Guilty Spark survived. So someone's going to have.
That was exactly what I.
In my mind, Guilty Spark died a wonderfully explosive death in Halo 3, and that's it. He's gone.
That's it. No coming back. Yeah. So if he has other information, we'd like to hear it. But I thought we finished him off pretty good.
All right. Oh, this next question, Chandler Haja. Question for Marty. Will the Marty Army be coming back? I really enjoyed the stage with Jen and Steve. Sad Jeff couldn't be there.
The Marty Army is not gone. It's just taking a bit of a break until other things settle down. The Marty Army is sort of in hibernation, sort of like at the end of Halo 3.
Wake me when you need
me. Back Marty Army is in cryo sleep.
Can you mention what the Marty Army is for the people that don't know, aka me?
How could you not know the Marty Army? Bruce doesn't know the Marty Army. Bruce, I'm going to have you on the Marty Army when we're back.
Cool.
It was a kind of a joke club that started during the Bungie Halo days as part of Bungie Net. One of the guys there used it as a test to, and I said, well, it's not going to be a test. I'm taking it. And it was just a good place for people to who were fans of Halo and maybe had questions about music and acting and sound and stuff to come in. I brought it back about a year ago on a Discord channel, and it was doing pretty well. And of course, I had Jen and Steve on, and we had a really good time talking. And Jeff was supposed to be there, but all this will come back. I'm sure of it. It's just we just need to be on ice for a while.
I dig that. Our next question is from Squints on YouTube. Question for Marty and Jen. What's the story behind the line, Marty, I always love you? Cortana says in Halo Reach. Was that planned at any point or just a result of messing around?
That's Jen. I asked Jen, improvise, whatever comes into your head or heart. Improvise.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Jen's like, yeah, I agree. Fair enough. Well, this next question is for you, Jen, by Mark Goshaya Godet. Question for Jen. How do you prepare Cortana by motion capture?
A lot of yoga. And, no, I mean, it's like any other performing you do, right? Except you're, well, I guess like so much of acting on film and camera is you're given a whole bunch of obstacles, physical obstacles that you have to then make everything seem normal. So for example, when Bruce and I are working together, I have a camera that's about this far away from my face. So any kind of on a helmet. So any kind of intimate moments that we have or anything, we have to be very aware of how close we're getting to each other.
Right. Click, click, click.
Yeah.
Right.
It's more about the technical. It's about embracing all the technical stuff that we have to work with and then finding a way, because I'm also weighted down with batteries and a whole bunch of stuff, and then figuring out a way to let all of that go and be present in the moment and go after what I need to go after. So I don't know what kind, I mean, the prep is is really well. I mean, I have a lot of time. I get to have a lot of time with the scripts and the scenes that I'm going over and trying to figure out, you know, what I want in each of these moments and what I'm doing, why I'm doing everything I'm doing. But a lot of it, I think, is gear as you're gearing up, getting ready, physically gearing up, you know, putting all this stuff on. Okay, how do I let all of this go that you're putting physically on me? How do I forget about it and move forward? Because it's also quite uncomfortable.
And little known, I think this is a little known fact, but I think Jen's first outfit and performance capture was early in Destiny development, where you came in to help us test out the whole system for performance capture. And you played the Queen of the Reef. For those of you who've played Destiny, Jen was the first Queen of the Reef.
Oh, wow.
There you go. Small
Awesome.
Destiny lore people. They're
That
going to
might
go,
have been
oh,
my
how
very
cool.
first
Fun fact.
job.
Fun fact.
I like that. Well, we have a question for everyone on here. Where are you? There we go. By XX Wipeout XX. Question for all. What is your favorite story from behind the scenes of making these games? I know there has to be some great ones that we have not heard yet. So what's going on? You know, well, I know that Marty has a ton of stories. Jeff is just like chomping at the bit. He's like, "You gonna let that up talk?"
What, can you see me frothing at the mouth? I'm not sure what you mean.
A little bit. Just
The only story that comes to mind is, and I can't remember which one it was, but I know it was when you were there, Marty. After the first game had come out and been a big success, I think there was a concerted effort to woo some pretty big names to be a part of the game. So one day I went in to do some recording and I was told, oh, by the way, there may be somebody coming to watch a little bit of you working. Is that okay? And I was like, yeah, I don't care. And so basically I would go into the recording booth, which was about the size of a telephone booth. And at that point, everything was on sheets of paper. So I would like read down the list of doing 3 takes of each, go all the way down to the bottom of the page. And then I'd look up and they'd say, you know, these are the corrections. And then they say, go ahead and do it. It was generally 2 people. It was Jay Weinland most of the time and one of the writers, producers. That was it. And so I was doing that. I was in the middle of doing that. And I went all the way down to the end of the page. It had been just those 2 guys. And I put my head up. Suddenly there were 20 people in the other room. And directly in front of me was the actor Hayden Christensen, who had done the Star Wars prequels. And so we stopped and I was introduced. It's like, oh, hello. It's very nice to meet you. And we chatted for a little bit. And then they said, well, shall we get back to work? And I was like, okay. And I went down the list again. And when I looked back up, the room was empty except for the 2 people who'd been there before.
But it'd been really cool if all of a sudden Darth Vader was in full
For
costume.
that was, he was not in full costume. He was not, sadly, in full costume, but it was kind of like, oh, okay. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Does anybody else have any stories?
Well, I'll give one quick one. That was, it reminds me of during that period, we had lots of different people who played Halo, who were fans of Halo and wanted to like see the behind the scenes things. And they were you know, actors or musicians or whatever. And they got a free tour. So we would constantly get these people coming through. And one day Justin Timberlake came in and, so I got to meet Justin and he was talking about like playing the game and loving the music and all this stuff. So he came into my studio and sat at the keyboard and he started playing something on the keyboard. And I saw that his thumb was sort of below the keyboard. He was just using these fingers to play. And so I said, oh, self-taught, huh?
Dang, you threw shade at Justin Timberlake?
Yeah, and he laughed, and I said, "Well, you know, if you ever, you know, want to get some lessons to improve, and you know, I'd be happy to, you know." So we had a good time.
And then
there were a couple other people there who were laughing at that, but he got a kick out of that. But that's true story.
That is awesome.
Wow.
Does anybody else have any other stories, behind the scenes stories?
Not ones that we haven't already talked about.
Yeah. I mean,
that, you know what, then that's fair enough. Then I will go right on to this question, which is actually a good one by Adijo. And it's like, all the voice actors, what is your favorite routine before doing a session? Do you guys drink chocolate milk or something? or a glass of wine. I heard milk. I was like,
No, you don't drink milk.
No.
What do you guys?
No.
He's like, milk is never.
We're always provided with water, I think, by the folks there. They always say, "Do you want some water?" It's like, sure,
Room
Some
temperature
folks do.
water.
Jeff,
Yeah.
you seem like a whiskey type of dude,
Well,
Yeah.
whenever I prepare for Chief, it's always whiskey and cigarettes.
Yes.
Whiskey.
Yeah.
Steve is cigars.
You're the Marlboro Man method.
I do smoke cigars. Yeah, that's true.
There you go.
If you guys in Seattle know Ken Boynton, who's been in almost all the Halo games,
Absolutely,
I
know him very well.
Ken actually did drink chocolate milk before everything because he was playing the brutes or elites, and we knew we were going to pitch his voice down, but we needed to have this gurgly grab. So
Ow!
chugged chocolate milk so he could do it because he wouldn't change the pitch of his voice. He just had all this gurgly, gravelly junk that was always in his voice, which sounds spectacular when you pitch it down. It sounds very much like a monster alien. So
Can I just
that's the only one.
Was that his idea?
Oh, that was his idea. Yeah, he said, "Oh no, I got the perfect way of sounding the way you want." So he
That's
just get me
hysterical.
some chocolate milk. Yeah.
Oh my gosh!
I just wanted to give
I have to
a
put
Darren DePaul. Speaking of voices that gurgle,
Darren.
when we were on stage, oh my God, he
Crazy.
yeah,
Darren kind of, first of all, Darren sort of talks like this. Like he's
got this
higher
bubbly
voice.
boyish thing. Yeah, he comes in there with all of that stuff. And so powerful that it knocks you back from 20 feet when he does it. And then they'll say cut, and he'll go, "How was that?"
And also, I don't think they modify his voice at all. It sounds like that.
It sounds exactly the same.
It's
Wow.
insane.
Wow.
He is ridiculously talented, that man.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
Darren, shout out.
Talking about ridiculous. You don't drink.
You don't drink.
Utterly ridiculous.
Done.
I love
And
how
I'm
you're
done.
all right. This is over now with that joke. We're done. But technically, we have 3 minutes left in this Q&A. So I know we've been on for about an hour and 27 minutes right now, ladies and gentlemen. So I definitely want to say thank you, everybody, for joining this amazingly hilarious and informative Q&A. We will be back this Friday for the actual signing. So let's go around the circle and say where everybody will. Your next project that's not under NDA, if you could say that, and where they can find you on social media. Let's start off with the voice of heaven himself.
Well, I'm assuming that's me.
I'm
I don't.
I was literally waiting for someone.
You must be talking about.
To be like, that's me.
That's me.
Like,
I'm doing some corrections on a commercial I did in Germany this Friday. I'm doing some other stuff, but I can talk about all that kind of stuff. And as far as social media is concerned, you can look for me. I am on Facebook and I am on Twitter, I guess, and Instagram and LinkedIn. Anybody can reach me whenever they want to in all those places. I don't necessarily visit them as often as I should. Oh, I'm on Discord too. Thanks to Marty.
Well, where can
and the Marty Army.
Tag? What's your social media tags?
Oh Christ, I don't know. It's gonna be something to do with Jeff Steitzer. I think I'm Jeff SS some places and Jeff Steitzer and Wondrous One somewhere. I don't know.
Yeah, got it, Jen. Your next project, and where can we find you on social media?
The next thing that I am working on is this TV show called Halo. Going back for a second.
When do you go? When do you go?
I don't know.
Okay.
NDA, Jeff. Shh.
And I'm really.
We get together in Seattle. That's why I'm asking.
He just wants me to buy him a cup of coffee. I'm kidding. I'm on Twitter at Jen Taylor Town.
Awesome, Bruce.
Yeah, nothing I can't say outside of the NDAs. On Twitter, I'm Reel, REEL, Bruce Thomas. Super clever, I know.
Very
He's an actor, ladies and gentlemen. Get it?
And then on Instagram, I'm Mr. MR period Bruce Thomas.
Nice. Marty?
Yeah, my next engagement is this Saturday with my grandsons in the swimming pool.
Awesome.
And I used to have a pretty good social media presence, YouTube and Discord and Twitter. It's all on ice for right now. So just pay attention and someday I'll be back.
Awesome.
That's it.
Taking a break.
And Steve?
Yeah, my Twitter handle is Steve Downs 117. Real original.
Very original. Very original.
Yeah, and I was trying to find my Instagram, but it won't load. So, but I'm sure it's some variation of Steve Downs.
Wait, hasn't Microsoft contacted you yet and tell you you're not allowed to use 117? I thought that was one of the deals.
Who yeah. Well, my phone's
Oh, that was
ringing
a
right
joke.
now.
That was a joke. That was a joke.
I'm kidding. I know. What
You're
job? I'm doing a lot of commercials. What? S Downs on Instagram. Okay, there you go. Thank you. Doing some commercial work. Going to be in. Well, I mentioned the Halo World Championships in October in Seattle. That'll be fun. And then Wales Comic Con in early December with maybe somebody else, right? I don't know if we're talking about that, but hopefully Jen will be with me, and it'll be our first ever, Comic Con type appearance in Great Britain. So we're kind of excited about that. So that'll be cool.
I have one other thing to add. I'll be in Wichita in October. I don't know what Wichita.
Oh, Kansas.
Yeah, in Kansas. And I also wanted to say that this is just for the fans that are wondering. My other projects, I do use my voice. This is the only one I do not. It's the only one.
Yeah, I love your voice. Sounds great.
With that, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget, we do have a Halo signing coming up. Go to streamily.com/Halo and get your prints and merch today. Don't forget to go to streamily.live on all social media platforms so you can see what other signings we have coming up and the new talent we have coming up. And if you have any questions to ask any of the talent, or if you have suggestions on brand new talent, you can hit me up on social media at Official Rob Fury on all platforms. So with that, I will let I will start. I guess can I meet everybody in a Gregorian chant? Say goodbye. All right.
Oh.